Boy, am I super excited to share this recipe with you. We're gonna make a sourdough discard funfetti cake, and I can't wait to show you how I'm going to use this, which we normally would just throw away. I've had this discard sitting in my refrigerator for probably a couple of weeks. I actually don't use sourdough starter the way some people do. I just use discard and starter interchangeably. But the cool thing is that whatever you have sitting in your refrigerator, you can use in this recipe. I will give you the measurements and the recipe will be included in the video, so don't worry. So what we're gonna start with, sifting our flour. And I generally measure in grams. You can do cups with this cake recipe as well, but grams are much more accurate. Sifting my flour together with my baking soda and my salt. So a trick I used in the bakery, I used to run a bakery, I would use parchment paper to sift everything on top. It's very easy that way. You don't have to worry about having it get all over the place, get all over the counter and things like that. So just dump my flour in and then my baking powder and my salt. And I use kosher salt for baking because kosher salt is easier to determine if it's going to be too salty or not. Kosher salt is basically half the amount of saltiness as regular salt. I really enjoy the idea of using salt to bring out the best flavors of the sweets. So all I'm doing really here is pushing my flour and everything else through the sifter. And when I'm done, all I'll see is that kosher salt at the end. And I just turn that over just like that. But this ensures that I don't forget to put my salt in my cake. Now I have my flour. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to set it aside. Next, we're going to add our sugar. Then I'm gonna add my butter, and butter should be nice and soft when you add it to your cake. Then I'm gonna mix this for 3 to 4 minutes on medium speed until it's light and fluffy. Scrape down my bowl. I'm gonna add my eggs one at a time. The eggs also are at room temperature, so they'll incorporate a lot more easily. And mix in between additions. Add another one. And again, we're gonna just scrape it down, get down all the way to the bottom of where the beaters are. We'll give it one more mix to mix the eggs in with the sugar and the butter. I'm gonna scrape it down again. It's really hard to scrape it down too much because once you add the flour, you don't have the chance to scrape it down as much. My sister-in-law made me this vanilla for Christmas. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and we're gonna add that to our milk. Now we're ready to add the flour and the milk, and we're gonna alternate between flour and milk, starting with the flour and ending with the flour. Putting it on low, and then just taking our parchment paper that we made earlier and just adding that flour in. A little bit of flour, and then the trick is to just completely let that flour mix into the cake. If you were to try to make a cake by just mixing everything together, it wouldn't have the same results because the flour added at the end is gonna keep the cake from being tough. Now we're gonna add some milk. I added roughly half the amount of milk. I'm gonna let that mix in. We're gonna add more flour. So I'm using like full-size parchment paper here. This is like for a professional bakery-sized pan. You could do the same thing with parchment paper that's about half this size, so that'd be the half-sheet pan, or you could just buy parchment paper in a tube and take a piece off that was nice and big. Now I'm gonna add the rest of the milk, and as soon as that milk is incorporated, you don't wanna overmix at this stage of the game. Then you're gonna add more of the flour. That last bit of flour went in there. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off the mixer and just scrape it down again. Now you're probably wondering, when are we going to add the sourdough discard? Well, that's a really good question. It's going to be basically now. We're going to incorporate it into the very last part of the mix. Discard is pretty much considered the dregs of sourdough baking, but I don't personally think it needs to be that way. I never throw it out. I've decided a long time ago that if I was going to teach myself how to make sourdough bread, I just don't like throwing things out. It's just built into my DNA. I have here 123 grams of sourdough starter. Slowly incorporate the sourdough or the discard into my cake. And with this amount of discard, it's not going to taste super sour, because I know a lot of people are kind of afraid, oh, is my cake going to be sour? Probably not, because you're not adding that much sourdough or discard. The final mix is just at medium for another minute. So we're gonna do that. And this last step is important because you don't wanna overmix the batter at the very last minute. You don't wanna add too much air to it. I'm gonna take this off and scrape the beater. But you can see the batter is creamy and dreamy. So now what we're going to do is add our fun part, which is the funfetti, the sprinkles. And I'm just taking my spatula and just going down to the bottom and making sure that everything is incorporated. I think I used the wrong size spatula. I think I should have gone with a longer spatula, but that's all right. Now I'm going to add my sprinkles. I found these really cool sprinkles, and what I did was I picked out all of the hard balls that are inside the sprinkle mix. So all I have left are these fun sprinkles with the stars and the circles and the little jimmies. They're going in. but I think that looks about right. So we've got that dreamy vanilla cake. It's gonna be really good. I'm gonna show you how to divide up your batter between cake pans. This cake is going to give me 3 6-inch cakes. So I've lined them with parchment paper. That's something that's very easy to do. If you want me to make a video about that, drop a comment down below. You can use a scale, but you don't need to. So what I do is I just plop it in one plop at a time for each pan, and then I just repeat the process, which gives me roughly the same amount. You might be intimidated by how much batter needs to go into which, and then you want your layers to be around the same height. So this is a really easy way to do that. It's not precise, but it does work well. So I'm just gonna keep doing this until my pans are evenly filled. Okay, so a trick I used in the bakery was I just used my spatula to smooth out the top of the cake. Looking at it, I think this would be enough for 2 8-inch cake pans, no problem. So then after that, we're gonna give them a quick tap on the counter, get those bubbles out, and we're gonna get these in the oven. They're gonna be 350 for probably 30 minutes or so. I'm going to check them around 25 minutes and see how they are. I always like to check my cakes early so that I don't overbake them. And it's a good idea just to get in the habit of not leaving your cakes to bake and going to do something else when they could burn easily. So if you stay in the kitchen, there's a better chance of that not happening. So all the cake pans are going on a sheet pan. That will make it very easy for me to take them out of the oven and also rotate them if I need to. So I'm gonna bake these. So our Funfetti sourdough discard cakes are out of the oven. They baked for approximately 38 minutes. They're nice and golden brown on the top. Because I made this easy for myself, I put everything on my sheet pan. I just set it on top of a cooling rack, and once my cakes have cooled, I'm going to turn them out of the pans upside down onto the sheet pan. The sheet pan currently has a Silpat mat on top of it, but you could also use parchment paper. After that's done, I'll be able to make my cake. But the first thing I want to do before that is freeze it. I like to freeze my cakes, generally speaking, the night before I bake, and then I take them out in the morning to let them thaw before I assemble the cakes. That ensures that my crumb is nice and firm, and I'm going to have a much easier time assembling the cakes. If I were to try to do it on the same night that I bake them, I could do it, but I'd have to wait quite a while before they're nice and cool and firm. I recommend that you bake them the day before, and then the next day, make your icing and put the cakes together. So now we can just remove the leaves of the cake. Now it's just a matter of turning the cakes out, and they should pop right out because of the parchment. Peel the parchment off and flip the cake over. Now, if the cake starts to fall apart like mine kind of did on the edge, that's why we're going to freeze the cake. That's the trick that I use to get my cakes easily into the freezer. One more thing. Remember that parchment we used to sift our flour? I'm just going to place that on top of my cakes before I put them in the freezer so nothing falls on top of the cakes. Let's make chocolate lovers buttercream. The simple way to do this is we're going to start with the butter, and our butter has been out at room temperature for a small amount of time to get it to soften a little bit, and it's quite hot today, so I didn't want to leave it out too long, so I put it back in the refrigerator to get it just right. So that's 3 sticks of butter. Another thing we want to do is we want to make sure that all of our powdered sugar and our cocoa are lump-free. And the way I like to do that is just like I did with the flour. I just sift it right onto parchment paper, and that worked really, really well. And then when you get to the point where the lumps are really big, you just take a spoon, and I find a metal spoon works very well, and you just gently stir down those lumps, stirring it just like that until it's completely sifted. So I'm just going to put all of this powdered sugar and cocoa into my mixer. Look at that. Turn my mixer on. Eventually the powdered sugar will incorporate into the butter. At this point, what's in the mixer is actually kind of a chunky texture. It almost looks like a heavy cookie dough, like a thick cookie dough, but that's not anything you should worry about because we're going to add chocolate chips, and chocolate chips are going to help bind everything together. I'm going to simply melt this over a simmering pot. It's also called a bain-marie, and that will help melt my chocolate without burning it. You could also use a microwave, and if you do that, you would just put it in the microwave for maybe 20-second intervals until it's completely melted. All right, our chocolate is nice and melted now. My rule of thumb is I never try to put anything in my mixer, close to my mixer, or put my spatula near my mixer as the beater is running because I do not want to hurt myself. I am putting my chocolate right into my mixer. The longer you let the chocolate sit in the bowl, the harder it is to get it out. Do it while the chocolate is nice and warm. Okay, so I've got most of my chocolate in there. Now I'm going to start the mixer. The chocolate that I just put into the mixer, mixed with the powdered sugar and the butter and the cocoa, is going to kind of melt it all together so it becomes more of a creamy chocolate texture. You can stop the mixer and then you can scrape it down and let it keep going. Salt in icing is is gonna take it up another level. Like professional pastry chefs use salt in much of their products. We're going to add the salt. We're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. And just for fun, I'm gonna add a half a teaspoon of this butter vanilla bakery emulsion. And you'll notice I'm not turning my mixer up high. I'm not trying to whip the buttercream. But what I am going to do is turn the mixer off and scrape down the sides of the bowl again. It's not fun. It seems like a hassle, but it makes such a difference when you take the time to scrape your bowl. So we're just gonna scrape, scrape, scrape. Can't scrape too much. Now we're gonna turn it up just a little bit, and I'm gonna keep in mind that I don't wanna overmix this. I'm really just trying to make sure it's incorporated fully. So I'm gonna scrape my bowl down and just try to get all of that chocolate that was on the side incorporated into the frosting. It's really important to get it nice and smooth. And see, the mixer isn't really doing that job. So we just do a little bit of grunt work and we just get in there and mix it. And actually this frosting is really nice and thick. I don't think we're gonna have a problem with it getting too soft. I think I'd rather err on the side of too thick than too thin, especially for a cake. Okay, so now we're just gonna put it back on the mixer and mix it up again. Okay, now I'm letting my buttercream whip, but I'm not whipping it too long. I don't wanna add too much air into this frosting, but I also don't want it to be so thick that it pulls my cake apart. Now we're going to level out our cakes. And remember the trick we had, everything is on the sheet pan. So to make things really simple, we're going to work with trimming the cakes on top of our table here. So we're just gonna pick up our Silpat and just transfer it onto the table like that. That way we have a surface to work with and we don't have to worry about the sheet pan being in the way of our knife. Now, this is a serrated knife, and this is what I would use to trim cakes. What we can do is we can work with one cake at a time, and you'll figure out pretty quickly that chilling those cakes was a really good move. So what we're gonna aim for is to get our icing onto the cake board. And I have under here a grippy mat, and I have it cut to the same size as my cake turntable. I have an 8-inch cake board and I'm doing a 6-inch cake. So to get our cakes level, we're gonna start with one cake at a time. And I think I'll pull this forward so you can see it a little bit better. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cutting. So when you cut, you can put your hand flat on top of the cake. What we're going to do is we're just going to aim for a level top. We don't need to trim that much off of it. Just hold your hand on top of the cake and just gently pull the knife through. And you're gonna get something like this, a scrap, and that's okay. We're not aiming for perfection here. We're just aiming to get a nice flat top so that our cake is level. So we're just gonna keep doing that with each cake. And again, just keep your hand nice and flat and gently go straight across. It does take a little bit of practice. A small cake is a really good place to start making a cake because you don't have to worry about it being so perfect. The small cakes are a little bit more forgiving. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half again, starting in the middle and rotating my cake as I go. And a nice sharp knife will come in handy here. But you can see that funfetti has really come through. So now we're gonna put this together. We'll start by putting a little bit of icing on top of the cake board to hold the cake down. And we're gonna start with the bottom layer. Basically, you just wanna stack your layers until they look roughly flat as you want them to look. Now this is a small cake, but it's going to make up for it in height. So we're gonna put that first layer down. And we have some filling that we're gonna add to this cake. But first we're gonna create a ring around the edge, which is going to hold the icing into the cake. I'm glad that I let my icing sit for a little bit because now it is much softer. So I'm gonna add a little bit of icing, and one of the tricks to icing bags is to not fill them too full. So that's about as much as I'm gonna add to that. I have a tip on the end, and I'm going to just do a ring around the edge. So I'm just gonna take some icing. And the nice thing about tips is it makes easy work of adding the icing. Then I'm just gonna spread that icing, turning my turntable as I go, and then I'll be able to add my filling. Now I made a specific kind of filling for this cake, and this is a strawberry fruit punch filling. And it's kind of got like a tropical twist to it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my filling, and this is where people make mistake. They add too much filling, and then it will leak out of the cake. But because we created that little ring around the edge of the cake, that should help prevent it. But we're still gonna be careful because when you put those cakes on top, the pressure is going to push the icing or the filling out. So we're just gonna put a little bit in, and then we're just gonna continue layering each layer one on top of the other. And you'll see that there's a piece that kind of fell off on the front. I'm not gonna worry about that. It's not gonna show in the end. So what I'm gonna do for that last part on the top is just put a ring around the top, a good layer of icing on top of that. And then I'm gonna take my spatula and I'm just going to push that all the way to the edge, turning it. If you find that your icing is really thick like this, it is important to put enough icing on there so you don't pull the cake apart. So we'll just put that on there. So it's kind of tricky. Using more icing than necessary is key. All right, I am struggling right alongside you. If you've ever dealt with icing that is too thick, this is a trick you can use. You can take your icing spatula and dip it in hot water, and that can help loosen up the icing a little bit. But the key is to not let the water drip on the cake. So just get rid of a little bit of the extra. See how it's kind of behaving now? The more you bake, the more you realize it's not the end of the world. I can fix this, I can figure this out. I can come up with a solution. The reason I'm decorating this cake with this thing instead of a icing tip is because a lot of home bakers don't have that icing tip sitting around their house. So this is something you can do, a technique that you can learn with just a simple spatula. Icing spatula. After you've had the entire cake coated with icing, you can take your spatula and just turn the cake on the turntable until it's as smooth as you want it. And I'm honestly not going to worry about it looking perfectly smooth because I kind of want it to have that home style look. The main thing I want is just to cover up the crumbs on the side of the cake. I don't want the crumbs to peek out. So I'm not really worried about it looking perfect. I just want it to look good enough because, you know, good enough is sometimes good enough. Okay, so we're gonna just keep going around that edge. And I'd say that's about what I'm looking for. I don't really need it to look smooth, smooth, smooth. I'd be spending a long time doing that. I'm just gonna do a simple shell border on the top of my cake. This is something that anybody can recreate in their own home kitchen. I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom. So we're gonna put those sprinkles right on top of the shell border. This is a bit of a celebration cake because my channel is a little over 2 years old now, but I wanted to make a cake to celebrate doing this as long as I've been doing it. It's a labor of love, but I really love to make videos. Remember what I said about having more than enough icing? I'm not scraping the bottom of the barrel because I made enough to begin with. That's a really important tip for making cakes. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions about sourdough or sourdough discard, please drop it in the comments below. I hope this is a great opportunity for you to try making a cake as a celebration for your family or friends. Keep dreaming, dreamers. See you next time.